Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today's build is the 200 plus minion Necromancer, with a majority of them being flame Wraiths. Now with that, you can have 200 of them. You can actually have more of that if you get even better gear. However, I wouldn't recommend it because your system is going to lag. So 50 to 100 of them is really all that you need. It'll take a little bit longer to kill things, but they're still going to annihilate everything, and it's much more playable at that amount of them than if you try and spam 200 of them. You can do this with Putrid Wraiths as well, but if you go with the Putrid Wraiths, the problem with them is that they lag a lot more than the flame ones do for whatever reason, so we didn't go that way. And this will also be built around using one unique, and that will be the Dragon Flame Edict, which drops at a 14% rate from the Emperor of Corpses in the Reign of Chaos timeline. So if you haven't farmed that yet, this build will still work. However, it's not going to have the same amount of ignite or damage that the build has that you're seeing here, because that weapon itself gives over 100% chance to ignite for minions and gives them over 100% increased fire damage. Alright, let's go ahead and get into the skills and the interactions and exactly how it is that we can get to 200 plus minions. For skills, I'm running Dreadshade, Drain Life, Summon Wraith with +2 levels, Summon Skeleton Mage, and Summon Skeleton. For Dreadshade, we're using this to buff us and our minions, so whoever you cast it on is going to have 100% crit, although that's not a huge deal for this build, but the increased cast speed for everyone in the auras and the increased armor for you is going to be the big deal. So first we're going to work our way up to the top, and we're going to get our 1 point into Marty Doom so that we get additional flat armor per point of intelligence. Then we're going to go down the left side to get into Pernicious Pact so that they are poisoned instead of having a percentage of their health disappeared. Now, the percentage isn't as big a deal if you have a lot of flat health regen like we have. However, it's just that the poison with how many rays you have and the fact that they're really only going to ever have one Dreadshade on them at total RNG, because the odds of you casting a Dreadshade on the same one twice is very unlikely, especially since they decay anyways and they're constantly being resummoned. It's very unlikely you'll have multiple stacks of Dreadshade on the exact same one, so the poison definitely does less damage than if you were to have a percentage of their health go away every second. And then we also got into Dying COVID, so we have the 45% increased cast speed. This is for both us and for the minions, and for us this means more Wraiths. It means that we can summon them faster, so you definitely want to get this 3 points in. And of course, to make it all work, you need 1 point in Symbiotic Apparition so that both you and your allies are affected by Dreadshade's aura. Without this, the effect will not affect you. It will only affect the minion that it's actually cast on. Then for Drain Life, we are using this to get all of our mana back. So first off, we don't want to be stuck channeling Drain Life. Drain Life itself is a skill that you actually channel, but you can get it into a cast and forget, and that's why we went up to this whole top right side. And once you get 1 point in Dark Shackles, Drain Life is now cast instead of channeled. It lasts for 3 seconds, and it comes with an additional 65 mana cost, which makes it very, very spendy. But the big news is you can only have 3 targets with this when you channel, and by turning into a cast and forget, you can still only have 3 targets. But if you go a little bit farther, you can actually get 10 more targets. It increases the mana cost even higher, so we're talking about a mana cost of 120 mana, but that's fine because now we can target up to 13 minions at one time when we cast it, and we're going to be getting 10 mana back per minion, which means within 1 second you'll get 130 mana, granted that you have the full amount of targets in its area, which means it pays for itself in just 1 second, and then you have 2 additional seconds in which it produces extra mana for you, and that's for every one of these that you have active. As a cast and forget, now instead of only being able to channel it and have, one set of it, you can have multiple casts of it on the ground, so you can be getting 500, 1,000 mana per second. It actually gets quite ridiculous how possible it is to have such mana generation. And then the most important thing is, as you go to the left side, you want to make it so that it can target minions and that you'll gain 10 mana per second per minion. And going down one more makes it only target minions, and this will make sure that you're getting as much mana as possible, so if there are mobs on the screen inside of the range of it as well as your minions. It won't target the enemies, it'll just target your minions. This means more mana back, and you get 50% increased health leech. So we're going to be leeching a lot of life from our minions. That's why we have multiple ones of them active. So if we do take a hit, which we're built around endurance for our defense, we'll be able to health leech that life right back. For Summon Wraith, we have +2 points, and for this skill, we ran it a little bit differently. So we actually put some points into Reapers for that necrotic damage. As soon as you put 1 point in here, you get the necrotic tag, which means that all the percentage increased necrotic damage that you can get inside of the passive tree now applies to all the added necrotic damage that you can get here, and then you can get 60% more necrotic damage with 15% necrotic health leech, which also in the tree you get 100% increased health leech. So this is about 30% of the necrotic damage, which they're going to be hitting decently hard. They're hitting the training dummy for 2 to 4k crits. They won't be critting that much, but there's enough there for them to actually leech some of the life, which lets them last just a little bit longer to really maximize upon the number of them that we can get. And then we also have 1 point in Locus of Resurrection, so that they are summoned where we target. 2 points in Haunting, so they have 40% more health. 1 point in Grave Reality for more health again. 4 points in Delay the End to reduce the health decay. 1 point in Spirit Link. Nothing really special in there. We could actually respec this. I put this in originally because it was the cheaper way to get the 4 points into Wrath Bringer, so that we could get 40% more cast speed and mana efficiency, which that cast speed just makes it absolutely ridiculous when it comes to how many of these that you can spam out. But now that we can take that point out, I would put that point into Reapers instead, so you can go ahead and make that switch if you're taking notes. And for Summon Skeleton Mage, we have this set up with the Cryomancers and to remove all other mages so that we only get the Fire Mages. We also have 5 points in Soul Mortis to give them a good amount of base crit chance, 3 points in Grey Merchant so their survivability is based off them healing themselves when they get a percentage of their health gained on crit. 1 point in Order of Death for a +1 maximum skeleton. You can have 4 to 5 of them depending on how you spec inside of the passive tree. Once you get to the top, you can get +1 more for 5 total. 2 points in Putrid Essence for the poison chance, which is converted to ignite chance. 4 points in Splinter Dominion, so they have extra projectiles. 2 points in Agronotic Speed, so that they cast faster. And 1 point in Austin Frenzy for a 10% chance for them to get another 20% cast speed for 3 seconds whenever they hit an enemy. And then for Summon Skeleton, and you don't have to run these, you can run just Wraiths and run, Transplant, Summon Golem, anything else that you want. These are just the 2 that I chose because it was more fire for the build. And then we have 3 points in Unholy Rage for them for more cast and attack speed. 1 point in Fire Arrows, so they now have fire arrows that will spit out and they ignite on hit. Plus they get the ignite chance of the flame, so they also by themselves have over 200% chance to ignite. 2 points in Multi-Shot, so they fire 5 arrows instead of 1. This adds a 2-second cooldown to it. We went all the way to the top left to remove all warriors so that we will only get archers. 5 points in Necrotic Conviction gives them 75% more health. 75% more damage. 1 point in Hollow Walkers increases the maximum number you can have. We also did that up here in the top right. For Grave Walkers, another +1, and then 2 points in Sweeping Strikes to increase their damage a little bit more. For passives, we have 20 points in the base Acolyte class, with 8 points in Forbidden Knowledge, 5 points in Dark Rituals for that cast and attack speed for the minions, 2 points in Stolen Vitality, and then 5 points in Crimson Gluttony, so that they have 25% more health regen. For the Lich, we have 23 points. The reason we went in here, and I really didn't want to waste the 23 points, but we went in here because we really wanted the 8 points in Bed of Souls, because that 32% minion health regen increases the flat 240 they have by a third. So this is basically a 4th tier 5 affix. You're basically giving them another 80 flat health regen by getting this, and that was too juicy to, give up. So we put 8 points in Crippling Insight for the Int, 2 points in Survival of the Cruel to leech more more damage of the Drain Life, a spell, 5 points in Desolation to give the minions more damage over time, and then the 8 points in Bed of Souls for that 32% minion health regen. And then 68 points in the Necromancer, which it would have really been nice to take those 23 points and put in here. However, there is no percentage increase health regen for minions inside of the Necrotic tree, or the Necromancer tree. Instead, we only have 8 points in Blood Armor just to give them a bit more flat, but this flat 16 health regen is really nothing compared to what you can get on gear now. So these passive trees are kind of in need of a little bit of update since they made that change in 8.1 from percentage increase health regen to flat on gear. We also have 5 points in Risen Army for more attack and cast speed, 4 points in Cursed Blood. This gives the minions more necrotic damage, which we added that flat necrotic and gave them necrotic tag. So your flame rays are actually more necrotic than they are fire damage technically, but they still do a lot of ignite and they stack with both of those percentages. 5 points in Mortal Tether to increase the minion health by 75%. This is a big one. 8 points in Wisp Reaver means that every time that we cast a summon Wraith, we're going to get a 100% chance to gain the mana cost of that skill as ward. And the mana cost for the skill itself, which it's not letting me see here, is 19, which means every time that we cast, we're going to get 19 ward per cast of this. And we are casting, I mean, you can cast this literally like crazy. You can see our ward just jumps up there. You can usually have, if you're constantly spamming it, 200 to 300 ward, which is a nice little extra protection. And then we got 1 point Unbound Necromancy for +1 Skeleton, 3 points in Tyrant for increased health, 10 points in Moonlight Prior to give our minions +10 flat fire and necrotic damage, which is huge. This is why the summon flame rays actually hit really hard on top of doing the good ignite damage. And then 10 points in Rite of Undeath gives them 150% increased necrotic and elemental damage, so they get a big boost to that added fire and necrotic. And then of course the added necrotic inside the tree itself is also implemented in this 150% increase, which is just astronomically huge. And then we have 1 point Disciples of Necromancy for +1 Mage. On the right side, we have 3 points in Putrid Retribution, so that on a minion death, which your Wraiths are constantly dying and being resummoned, there's a 12% chance that we will summon an extra Putrid Wrath, and it'll let you get a little poison into the mix. 5 points in Frantic Summons for more minion attack and cast speed. 5 points in River of Bones gives them more critical strike chance, but it's the 100% minion health leech that I was after with this, so that they could have a little longer survivability because they'll be able to replenish their life a little bit more from doing damage. This works better against the training dummy where they hit harder, but in battle it helps just a tiny bit. For idols and items, so the type of idols that you want is you need to get to 100% chance for a summon Wraith to become a summon Flame Wraith instead. It took me 3 idols. You can get it done in 2. They can roll up to 60%, but I didn't have any that were even over 50%. So it took me 3 of them in order to get to that 100%, and then my 1x2s are just increased in flat health, just for a little bit more survivability on my side. And once you have those, the other main thing that you'll need to get this build popping is the Dragon Flame Edict Staff, which is going to come from the Dragon, the Emperor of Corpses, and that is on the Reign of Chaos timeline, which I believe is level 85. It drops at a 14% rate, so it may take you a few times to get it, but once you get that, this build will start popping because this will give those minions the ignite chance, it'll increase their fire damage, and of course you'll have 100% flame raise. And really there's only one more thing you need after that in order to get this build doing what it is showing here, and that's getting tier 5 affixes of minion health regen on the 3 pieces of gear that you can. We have it on the belt, we have it on the relic, and then we have it on the helm. Once you get those, the build is done. You're going to be able to get to 150 to 200 raise, no problem. Increasing minion health will maybe help you get a few more, but it really comes down to that minion health regen. The minion health more helps in battle for them not like being one-shot, but the faster that they can regen their health, it counteracts how fast their health is degenning, and that's what's allowing you to get so many. Having more health, even if you double the amount of health they have, the rampant pickup pace of the degen is so quick that just having extra health isn't going to be a very big deal. It's only a few seconds versus having extra health regen that turns that seconds into, tens of seconds. And then I'm just going to hover over all of the gear real quick just so you can see it, but it will be in the build planner. For the link to that, it is in the description, and that'll take you to the written forum post, which will have the build planner, the loot filter, all of that good stuff in there. And then for the character sheet, we're almost capped on resistances. We're just a little low on lightning and poison. We have some armor. This gets better when you're in the aura of Dreadshade. That armor will actually be boosted by 32 points of int times 25 base, increased by the percentage effect of how much missing life that whoever the Dreadshade has it on them is missing. If you followed that, basically, I'll just cast one here for you real quick so you can just see how much armor we have. There you go, 28% armor. As they lose health, it'll go up, but they have so much minion health regen, you're not really going to see a big boost from that. And then for damage types on our minion stats, we've got 571% minion health, we got 57% minion health regen, which really helps with that almost 240 flat that we have going. It's a big boost. It's going to give you an extra just over 100 extra flat health regen per second. And then of course we're level 100, so our minion power from the character is 40%, so they take 40% less damage and deal 40% more damage. And then for how this works, so to summon them, I'm going to go ahead and not have them attack, and I'm going to have Dreadshade on autocast because I need that to be active in order for my cast speed to be up. I'm going to leave my sheet open because a lot of people think that you need exalted items in order to hit this amount of things, so I'm just going to hover over these. Again, I didn't change items. These are all the same items. And then over here, I'm just going to start summoning, and all you do is get your drain life going so that you get your mana back, and you just cast non-stop. It takes a couple of minutes to build up to, a couple hundred of them, but we'll get it done here. And right there at about 195 of them, it looks like we're tapping out right about in that area. Now remember, if you have them attacking, they're leeching some life, so they'll survive more. However, the input lag kind of starts to affect how fast you're casting them. But we'll go ahead and have them attack here, and you can see the kind of lag that we're dealing with. But when you have this set up and you go up against bosses, it's absolutely crazy. As you can see in the gameplay, we took out all the bosses in just a matter of a few seconds. And that's going to be it. Let's go ahead and get into some more gameplay, and as always, stay safe, travelers.